right, folks, welcome to the Cash Machine. Really pleased to have Julie Mason on the call today. Due to the fact that not many questions have been coming in, I think most likely this is how I'm going to handle the rest of the calls over the next 9 months or 8 months or whatever's left. That is, I'll invite an expert, or I'll actually be the expert myself or whatever, and also success stories into a call where we'll record this. So if you couldn't make the call, we'll send it out to you, or conversely, we'll give you a link, I should say, the following day or so. Bear in mind, I haven't got Jason today. He's called in sick, which caused me a fair bit of drama, but great expense. Called in a few chips, and an old mate of mine, Matthew Gill, came and gave us a hand. And hence, if you're hearing this and it's working, all thanks to Matthew. And of course, Julie Mason, who's been in and around my environment longer than we probably care to mention, but I'm going to pass over to Julie and talk to you about her success and how she got started. Julie, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Mal. I'm delighted and honoured to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure. I assure you, I get a great deal of satisfaction out of seeing people like yourself succeed, and in some cases succeed beyond your wildest dreams, which is a category we can put you into. Now, I'm going to wind the tape back a little bit. You're welcome. I'm going to wind the tape back a little bit here, and I don't want you to tell the folks, well, where you started out, a bit of your history and how you came to be in the room in front of this bald, slightly chubby guy who's in shape many, many years ago and listening to me. How did you come to be in that room? Tell us first about your story.
Okay, sure. So I grew up in a little country town called Nambucca years and years and years ago, which really didn't have two pennies to rub together in that town. So moved to the big city and ended up in sales. And I think it was probably a natural transition for me to get into sales because I took, nearly as much as you do, Mel. I can took the leg off an iron horse every now and then, and always affable and always loved meeting people. And so it seemed to be a natural segue for me in my life to go into that sort of, career move. And I think after doing 15 years of door-to-door cold calling, I've been in sales for over 20 years, but of that 15 years in the good old door-to-door traditional cold calling, this is just before the internet was really taking hold. I noticed that there was a big shift in the way people were responding to the strategies that I was doing back then. And this whole thing around the internet was starting to just, take shape. Email was becoming very much the done thing at that time, and websites were just starting to happen more for the larger companies, and the smaller companies were just cottoning on to it. But there was a real shift in the way people communicated, and I thought, hang on, I need to check this out. I need to be on the ahead of the curve, Bill, on this one a little bit. So I was in a fairly luxurious position to start, investing in myself and learning about, online marketing. And I remember reading a book. It all started with a book by Dale Beaumont on the secrets of internet entrepreneurs. And I thought, okay, I'll read that. And one story really stood out to me, and that was Andrew and Daryl Grant, who are, your clients as well. You mentor them to great success. And so I toddled off to one of their events and learned all about ebooks and membership sites and, how to create product online, and started to apply everything that they taught me. Started to learn how to build WordPress sites and how to, create products. And I got to a point that Andrew Grant said to me, you really need to go and see Mal Emery. You need to get this part sorted, and Mal's the guy. And Mal, it took 3 goes for me to actually connect with you. I think I bought tickets twice to events, and for one reason or another I was either really sick and couldn't make it, or something, a family emergency popped up and I couldn't make the other one. And then the third one, we finally hooked up. You were in the room, and at the Hilton in Roma Street in Brisbane. Okay. And I went along, and I remember this bald man, telling about all his successes on emotional direct response marketing and everything that you were doing there. And I was thinking, wow, this guy's pretty impressive, And I remember one of the words that you said. I went there with great intention, actually. And that's really important, I think, for everybody on the call. And it's something that I've become very mindful about, is having intention in your business. And I went there with great intention. One, to make an impression on you. And it was really funny because at some point in your presentation, you mentioned, you cannot pay me enough to care about your business. And I went, I'm going to take that challenge, Mr. Mal Emery.
Okay.
I'm going to take you up on that challenge, love. And I wanted to just do whatever I could to stand out in your mind. And so the things that I did was, I was intentional about it. I was fortunate enough to win one of the door prizes that you so generously gave away that day. And then at the end, I wasn't sure which of these fantastic programs I would join. And you kindly gave me a few moments of your time, and we talked about what, industry I was looking at going into back in the time that I started with you. And I told you, and you said, girlie, that's got some good legs on it. It's a racehorse. You want to get on that? That's a hot and hungry market. And I went, okay, giddy up.
Oh, yeah.
And so I pretty much joined your program, and whatever you told me to do, I did. I remember you told me my first business name sucked, so I changed it, and you told me to get my name into a book, and so I became a co-author of a book within 6 months, and you told me to do it, and I did it.
Yeah, and you pretty much attended all my unique niched events over a period of years.
Travelled around the country following you, yeah.
Which sort of put all the pieces together to some extent, and I knew you were in the process.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So where did all this lead you? What are you these days? I suppose that's what they're all wanting to hear, listening to this. What have you become?
Yeah,
because,
well,
it's
been an evolution, which I think is, the whole journey has been a total evolution in reality, and it's gotten better and better as you go along, because of course you accumulate all this great knowledge and the learnings that you have along the way, both from the successes and from what you might consider failures. But I don't believe in failure. I believe that it's just a result. It just tells you that you need to go back and try something different in that, or tweak it, or if it's not going to work altogether, then put it down, but test it again and try it a different way. And so originally when I came to you, I think I was going into web design and search engine optimization, and I was creating Facebook apps when Facebook was really quite brand new. Social media was what really drew me to it, because as a salesperson, I saw this amazing space where you could really leverage your message out there. And so I really jumped onto that, I think, far earlier than a lot of other people did, and started to really, learn everything I could about Facebook marketing and LinkedIn and my clients. In fact, one of your clients actually, Wayne Bergen, if I remember correctly, nicknamed me the social media princess, and so that name stuck. I thought, I'll take that moniker, thanks Wayne, and so that sort of stuck, and then I got asked more and more to teach people what I was doing with social media that was helping me really generate the sales for the web design business. So I started teaching it, and it evolved into being a membership program, and then workshops and training and lots of webinars and things like that. And then about 2.5 years ago, I evolved again and just focused on LinkedIn, where my clients were getting the absolute best results. And so now I'm known as one of Australia's premier, if not top, LinkedIn sales strategists around how to generate leads and sales easily and elegantly on LinkedIn. So it's kind of been a real evolution. And that evolution still continues, but it's been a wild ride. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and I want to touch on a couple of things there that were really interesting to me. So first and foremost, there's a connection between the fact that you were a door-to-door salesy person. A lot of people are frightened and have all sorts of negative feedback. They're blocked up. Some even think they should never have to sell. People should just buy. I mean, you've seen me do whole 2-hour sessions on the mindset around people's behaviour with selling and buying
Yeah.
and being seen
Yeah.
as selling. And there is some actual truth to it, given that the marketplace has shifted rather dramatically to the point where those door-to-door guys that you were one of once upon a time, where you cut your teeth, which probably and historically has proved to be one of the best groundings anyone can get when it comes to being successful in whatever channel they approach in the future. So the fact that you achieved great success at door-to-door is spectacular. But having said that, I introduce you to the model of welcome guest, not pest. And you would remember vividly that in thinking back about that, that you were definitely a pest. In fact, you probably had a sort of a bent and buckled left toe on your foot where you jammed your foot in the door to keep it open while you found your way in. Because unless you actually did that, because the old joke is that the door-to-door sales guys limp around the place because of their left foot banging them in the doors. So, great grounding, but you also know that, as I've articulated and as has become the truth today, the way they buy has totally changed. They don't want to be sold.
Absolutely.
You can't look like a salesperson for 5 seconds. No one wants their kid to grow up to be a salesman. They want their kid to grow up to be a heart surgeon or a doctor. So my whole point is there that you become the heart surgeon of your category. Now, what you have done is you've become the heart surgeon, the wise guy at the top of the mountain, at a channel called LinkedIn, which is a channel within a channel, which is the internet, of course, and it's also a channel within the social media channel. So that's one observation I wanted to make. Now I've got to put my glasses back on because I made a couple of notes. So about the channel, the cold calling, and what's most interesting about what you have done, to me, because I'm responsible for, and you've met many of them, some of whom you've seen had million-dollar weekends and in some cases million-dollar days. And all of them came to me to solve a problem, but that problem was generally what I call incremental. Now, incremental is you're running a normal day-to-day business where you need more clients and more work and more profit. Now, you came to me with an idea around an incremental business, and it turned out not necessarily being the incremental business, although it was a hot market, search engine optimization, it actually morphed into something else. And it first started off by you figuring out how to do it yourself, for yourself. And you used a lot of the strategies that you learned in the environment to succeed at that. But what's most interesting, because I talk of incremental versus strategic byproduct. So the strategic byproduct of you being successful, of Andrew and Daryl being successful, from, oh gosh, the list is so long these days, Peter Godfrey being successful, Steve Plummer being successful at what they do, you know the list of folk we're talking about. They're now teaching other people how to be successful doing what they used to do. And that's called selling your success to people who want it more than you do. So you figured out how to be successful for you, and then you sold yours, and you're continuing to sell your success to other people. Now that's doing a Jim's mowing, to be blunt. Jim doesn't mow a lawn anymore, and that's because solving other people's problems is better than solving your own. Now that's what you've done also, which is again that beautiful metamorphosis, Julie, that excites me most about people like yourself and of course the information age that we live in, or cash machine as I call it. So another observation, if I could, based on what you've said today, is that you've gone into the B market. So there's two, billion-dollar industries, if you like. One is B2B and the other is B2C in terms of coaching, consulting and mentoring. So that's what you're doing, isn't it, Joy? Would that be fair?
Yeah, B2B is definitely my target market.
But isn't it interesting how
So business to business.
you've taken your success and now you're selling it to other people who want it more than you do now? So
Yeah, absolutely.
the equivalent of that is me having Mount Emery coaches and consultants. That's the
Yes.
equivalent of that. So I've sold them, and you know I've put many people on their feet, you included, because you came to that
Yeah.
as well. So, you know, again, it's selling your success. So I was successful on my feet, and then I told a whole pile of people like you and a list of the list that I've already mentioned, and many others, Wayne Pickstones, um, Judith Wilson. I mean, gosh,
Yep.
the list is so long today, it's not funny. So
Matt and Amanda Clarkson. There's a
yeah,
heap of them
yeah,
there.
exactly. We could
Yep.
go on, but the point being, all of them came to me incremental. Uh,
Yep.
but it's where you morph. Now, I can't help myself because, you know, I sold my first hardware store after just 13 months, and I figured out I was
Yep.
better off selling my business than keeping it. So I turned businesses into opportunities for someone else to own. And of course, I've gone on and sold, I think, 3 or 4 information marketing businesses in various niches. And you, of course, can
Mm.
do the same. So now
Mm.
take us inside what you do today. So you have a very successful, I mean, if I could talk some numbers that you've told me in the past, could I talk some numbers?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago and I said, Julie, do you mind coming on the call to help some folk out who are looking for channels like you were that turned out to be LinkedIn? And
Yep.
you said to me, I said, how's it all going? And you said, well, I did 26,000 last week and I've already signed up X
Yeah.
amount this week. So that's
Yep.
mind-bogglingly successful, Julie. You would admit
Thank
that in
you.
your wildest dreams you might not have thought that you'd be making such a statement, because the beautiful thing about this business is we get to keep most of the money. It's not like
That's
a
right.
bricks and mortar business. And we get to,
Mm.
well, sit in our underwear and our pajamas if we like. And that's what makes this such a
Mm.
wonderful, wonderful industry. And it's also, you know, the fastest growing, the biggest industry on the planet. And it's also the greatest business on the planet, in my opinion. And I'm someone that's around 23 businesses, I think, at last count. And
Mm.
I don't know of
Mm.
anything as powerful as this one. So take us
What's
inside.
really
Go on, go
interesting
ahead.
about What's really interesting about this, Mel, is that I remember time and time again, it seared into my brain a phrase that you said to me years ago, and that was the world takes you at your own appraisal. And
Yeah.
you said that in regards to marketing. And I still hold that dear and teach my clients that. I say my great marketing mentor, Mel Emery, tells you that the world takes you at your own appraisal. Whatever you put yourself out there, if you just want to be a little church mouse, the world will take you at that appraisal.
Yeah.
If you want to be a roaring lion, the world will take you at that appraisal. The choice is yours. But what's been really interesting is I want to now add to what I've learnt from you with the world will pay any price you ask of it. So if you combine the world takes you at your own appraisal with the world will pay any price you ask of it and put those two together, that makes, and you believe that and you follow that and you work your business with intention towards that, oh my God, amazing things happen.
Yeah, great point.
It's pretty
And
amazing.
oh, it is. Look, it's a
Yeah.
fantastic point, Julian. My languaging was slightly different, but similar in as much that,
Mm.
you know, no one asks the brain surgeon how much he's going to charge. No one asks the heart surgeon
That's right.
how much they're going to charge. And look, I
That's
can't
it.
make Friday for the triple bypass. I want to play golf. Do you mind? Can we have it on Monday instead? And by the way, you know, what's your price? Because you know, I know a couple of people down the road that do bulk bypasses, and I was wondering how competitive your pricing is. And but do you mind if
Mm.
I have the knives after you've done the operation?
Mm.
I'd really like to keep the knives. Would that be okay? Well, you just don't. You don't
Mm.
ask. You behave yourself.
Mm.
You do everything you're told, and you
Mm.
pay whatever price they ask you to
And it's one
pay.
of those things, Mel, that that you're not going to go shopping for the cheapest brain surgeon. When if you've got a brain tumour, the person you want is the best in the business, not the cheapest.
So what's our
Which is,
message to our listeners, Julie?
quite interesting.
What's our message?
Yeah.
Well, our message is self-anointment. And our message
It
is...
is. You've got to position yourself as well in that self-anointing. You know, your online materials, whether it be your LinkedIn profile or your website or your marketing messages and your emails, you have to position yourself for that. Don't just say it out loud, but position yourself across the business.
But you know what they're thinking?
You know, hold yourself to that level.
You know what they're
What's
thinking,
that?
Julie? But I'm not the expert. I'm not the brain surgeon. Now, you weren't either.
Yeah. No, I wasn't.
That's what they're thinking to themselves. But Julie was, and and Mel was. Well, I wasn't. You know, mine was completely a marketing decision, and it was based on the marketplace cared more than me being frightened to do it, and the marketplace.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the marketplace does take you at your own appraisal, and I needed to be the wise guy at the top of the mountain before I was. Now, my whole point there is then you live into it. You live into the environment.
And you took the words out of my mouth. You grow into that.
Yeah.
You absolutely grow into it. And part of that, I know myself looking back at the time when I started, you know, positioning myself in LinkedIn as that expert and raising my prices. And in fact, you went through this journey with me about 3 years ago when I went from, you know, being the generalist across all social media as the social media princess, teaching Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest and all of that, to going, you know what, Mel, I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm just doing LinkedIn. And then, you know, I came to one of your events to speak on stage, and I still had my prices fairly low. You had some words with me, and my other mentor at the time had some words with me, and I went in a matter of weeks to doubling and tripling my pricing in that time frame. All the time, can I just say, crapping my pants, going, oh my God, somebody's going to figure out I'm not the expert in this at some point. Because the barrel of crazy monkeys, you know, exploded in my head and told me every reason why that wouldn't happen, to then remembering to hold tight to the fact that I am worthy of that and that I will deliver exceptional results, you know, and that was the transformational process for me in positioning and stepping into that space. It was absolutely key.
Now, this also speaks to our inch-wide, mile-deep niche thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Perfectly. Yeah. So there's this massive world out there of I want to get a client. And if we sat here for a month of Sundays, we couldn't name every way there is to get a client. We couldn't even probably name every media. But you got very clear on who your ideal avatar is. It's a person wanting to master LinkedIn. And then you anointed yourself the expert in helping others master that because you'd mastered it for yourself. And I speak of having one great success, and I sarcastically talk of, you know, fake it till you make it to some extent. But I don't really mean it. What I mean is it's very, very easy to be an expert in an inch-wide, mile-deep niche, because your niche on the niche of you know, how to find a client, even on the internet, is an inch wide but a mile deep, because the niche itself is massive. So I want to impress upon the people here that if we look at all of my successes, because I can only talk about my successes and the people I've worked with, without a shadow of a doubt, there's barely a generalist amongst them. The only goose is me. You know, I've continued to need to be exceptional to be able to be as broad as I've been, and it's crazy. And you know, I've had the opportunity to niche in various areas.
But here's the thing, Mel, with what you do, and the same with what you've taught me to do over the time, is you invest in yourself to be exceptional at what you do to help others step into that specialist category. You continually travel overseas and learn from, a wide range of people. And the same is what I do. You taught me that I need to invest in myself, that I need to learn. People say to me, how did you become this LinkedIn expert? And I say to them, I studied like crazy. I've read literally, there's 15 books on LinkedIn in my bookcase behind me, not to mention the countless of ebooks. I mean, there's hundreds of ebooks that I've read over the time. I've paid for 7 of my peers' online programs and attended their workshops all around the world. I travel overseas regularly to go to hear the best of the best talk. And not only do I listen and consume all of that, but I do it myself. I apply it to my own, LinkedIn profile or whatever it might be. So there's nothing that I don't teach my clients that I haven't done myself at some point. And I know for a fact that you're the same. You don't teach your clients anything you haven't tried yourself.
No, very true, because it's a lot easier to write a book about something than it is to do it. And, I'm doing it today, you're doing it today. I've just built a childcare centre, for God's sakes. I mean, it's a great model. It doesn't exactly fit necessarily with this model, but trust me, when you get to make up how much a parent pays, that is subsidised, and when that allows you to make up the rent, which allows you to value the premises, which allows you to also value the business. So, and trust me, I don't work a day in it, not one.
Yeah.
My job was to fill it up and do all the marketing and entertainment and do all those sorts of things associated with it. So, I'm still doing this in the real world today, where everyone else is trying to get a client and be successful, and you're the same. You're doing this for yourself every day. You're attracting clients on LinkedIn. That's the irony of all this. Then you're teaching them how to do the same thing you're already doing. And they're paying you handsomely.
Exactly.
Now, there's something else, Julie. There's something else that is one of my rare pieces of knowledge that I think I've pervaded better or more than anyone and lived it certainly better than anyone in this country. And you get this because you could have run my seminars for me and a bunch of people like you that hung around for so long. And the point is, the best product on the planet to sell. And the best product on the planet to sell is the opportunity to make money. So you morphed into everything I teach, Julie.
I had a good mentor, Mel.
Well, strangely enough, there's lots of people in the room. Not everyone, necessarily takes the action that needs to be taken. But, you heard me also say that success is choice and behaviour. So you made certain choices.
Absolutely.
Certainly, I was a guy revealing the principles behind all of this. But more particularly, you made the choices and took the action appropriate to achieve it. And that's where really the accolades belong to you, because you can reveal all of this stuff. But if people then don't do anything with it or don't act upon it, well, it doesn't go very far. But, you heard me say many times, the greatest product on the planet to sell is the opportunity to make money. So what you've done, again, is you got into selling the ideal product. So, the best product on the planet. I mean, it's not. Someday soon it's going to be Jim's pole dancing on shore, and I've got my name down for one of those. Because, there's just, well, at least we'll see some selling going on. He's figured it out, and you figured it out, and a bunch of people. There's no valid argument against this argument. So in a perfect world, so the childcare is an opportunity to make money. I've built it as an opportunity to make money. It's going to be franchised or leveraged, or it's going to go on the stock exchange. I mean, already it's an opportunity for someone else to buy it from me, and I keep the freehold, if you like. And I've made an opportunity for someone else. So that's just based on our turnover per week right now, after just 6 months. So again, it was all based on this thinking, Julie, and I've given it a name over the years, and you'll have heard me say this one, and that is the principle of the swift sword. Do you remember that one, Julie? Where in my head I've got a
I'm
filing cabinet. You've got this
accessing
filing
the
cabinet.
memory banks.
Well, you've got a filing cabinet in your head now, and
Mm,
it's
mm.
based on this stuff and other stuff you've gathered
Yep.
from other people. And whenever you are given a situation or an opportunity, whatever it might be, because they come in thick and fast, you go to your filing cabinet, Joy, and you run it through
Mm,
what I call a litmus test. It's Julie's
mm.
litmus test. Now you do this whether you even know you do it or you don't. Would that be fair?
Yep. No, I'm totally aware of where you're going. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't remember I don't remember if you remember me calling it a Swiss sword. What it meant is that
I
I
don't
can,
think so,
well,
but
I
I'm
can,
sure I know the lesson you're teaching.
yeah, that's
Yep.
right. It's being able to swiftly make a decision based on principles, which is where
Yeah.
people really screw it up. So you
Yeah.
were able to move forward with a set of principles, and when you came to those crossroads that most people, we all do, come to them, you chose the correct path. You anointed
Mm,
yourself the wise guy, which allowed you to charge more before you were the wise guy. You then lived into it. You then acquired skills and skilled yourself, and still do to this day, sufficiently
mm,
because you want to be the heart surgeon. The heart surgeon has tremendous skills. So you
mm.
made yourself the heart surgeon of your industry. And of course, you got into the opportunity to make money. And that,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's just, as Peter Godfrey would say, it's a beautiful thing.
It's
He's
been it's been really funny because I've had LinkedIn experts that are, you know, some of the people that I learn from, that I sit at the feet of to learn from around the world, who have contacted me going, how do you charge the prices that you do? Because I'm one of the most highest charging LinkedIn experts in the world, and at one point was the highest charging LinkedIn expert in the world. And
well,
and they just were gobsmacked that I was charging those prices and having people willingly pay for that to attend, my intensives or whatever it might be.
we know
And
that
and
price
they
is
couldn't
elastic.
understand why. And I thought, well, that's because they haven't done Mel Emery stuff.
Well, again, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them think. I tell you. Oh my God.
True.
But, it's all based on a set of principles. Do you know of anything that comes? Well, first I want to touch on your pricing. Again, you've
Yeah.
helped the folk out here tremendously. You've shown them
Mm.
how to be the most expensive in your category, not the cheapest. Because, what are your clients like that pay you the most money? What are they like?
Oh, they're your dream clients because they
Yay!
turn up
Yeah,
invested in themselves and willing to be accountable to their actions in getting a return on investment.
yeah.
So it's a very different mindset from those who, when I first started teaching LinkedIn and selling online products on LinkedIn, I was charging a very small fee, maybe $199, for them to learn. And here was the really interesting thing, Mel. I would charge them $199, and like you said a little while back, maybe only 5%, if you're lucky, actually took any action on that learning for $199. The ones who did, they got great results. I still have a client that, I remember she came to a workshop back at the beginning of 2013, and September 2012, this lady, Andrea, her name was, she generated a $74,000 contract off a $199 workshop within 2 days of applying the strategies that I taught. That same lady, to date, has made over $500,000 in sales through LinkedIn using that same strategy she learned at a $199 workshop. But what was interesting was that there were less people applying the information at $199 to nowadays, and I was running three-day intensive workshops for $5,500. The people who were applying that was a totally different number. They were turning up with the intention to get a return on their investment. And, we had more like 90% getting those results rather than 5% getting those results, which was great. And it's a whole different ballpark. The clients they're less, they don't suck your energy. They're not energy vampires that just, want to pretty much put a straw in your brain and suck all your knowledge out and not do anything with it. They're there to respect your time, to respect your knowledge, to apply it and get the results. And
so
it's
it's
joy
better for
to
you
work
and
with
it's
them.
better for them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Every day of the week. Should have done it earlier, much earlier.
I think Dan Kennedy calls them whales. You get the whales, and you have to work just as hard to catch a minnow. That's the problem. And then you get all the problems that you inherit, all the problems of the minnow. So, there's no doubt that, well, there's lots of ways to skin this cat. And can we talk about your business? Do you mind? Do you share a bit of that with us?
No, go for it. Sure.
All right. Now, you've already articulated the fact that you charge a fair bit compared to everybody else. There's the top down and the bottom up sort of model of ascension. And then there's the model you're using, which is, I think it's somewhere in between, because I think you've got probably a level above all of that you sell on LinkedIn as well. Do you want to talk to us about how you skin the cat on LinkedIn?
In terms of the products that I offer and what I'm doing now?
How you sell it, and your price point, and because there's the model of, the Ryan Dice and the Frank Kern model of the bait and the trap, with a low ticket, and then all of that sort of thing, and then the ascension through the 67, 197, and then, and then the whole model, which you're well and truly aware of. I was just wondering how you modelled yourself.
Absolutely. So, great question. So, essentially, I still have a very low entry point. In other words, I will do free webinars, or I'll speak on stage, around the place. I seem to be forever speaking on stage, and there's a big, thing around at the moment that, do you get paid to speak, or do you speak for free? In fact, for me, if it's my target audience, I'm happy to speak for free if I'm allowed to pitch to them, even if it's a gentle pitch, because I know I'll get business from it. And then you can have a front door product, which is great. It's your, low cost offering. So I have, over the last 6 years, I've literally run a LinkedIn workshop nearly every month for 6 years. And so I'm just at the end. As of Friday, Mel, I made the decision that Friday just gone was my last ever LinkedIn workshop that I was going to run, because I'm ready to evolve into a new section. And so, you can definitely do like a 3-hour, whether it's a webinar or a 3-hour workshop at a low cost, get people in the room, and then upsell them from there. And I actually, in my pitches when I'm running my own events, and when I'm speaking on stage for other people, often will pitch from the top down. So my highest pricing product down to my lowest pricing product, and depending on, what I'm offering at the time. But, so I think, for a 1-day LinkedIn, full day one-on-one with me, it's now $9,000 for people to do that. Wow. And I don't do a 3-day intensive anymore. I do a 3-hour. For $3,300. You can come and sit with me, and we will absolutely fast track your results on LinkedIn in 3 hours, because I've nailed what needs to be done, if that makes sense. I don't need to do it in 3 days, for example. I can tailor it and individualize it in 3 hours and get that sorted. And then for those who, I think you still need to have an offering that is what I call leveraged. So the 3-day workshop, I at the beginning of this year put that entire 3-day workshop online into a self-paced learning program, and then put in some support around that, because I'm the type of person who doesn't just want to sell an information product for the sake of getting money. I'm still that person who's passionate about my clients getting results. So to me, I want to keep you supported and nurtured through that process, but I need to leverage it if I'm going to do it at a low price point. So the online program is available, Link Sales Formula, and that's $997, but then they get to have a group coaching call with me every month for the lifetime of that program, and they get an online forum where they can ask me questions in between the months, the group coaching calls every month. And so that becomes leveraged.
So you've got a membership site.
And it's a membership site, and a community that has been created there. Oh my God, it's just beautiful to see them supporting each other, and the forum, you know, they answer each other's questions and give feedback to each other on the journey, and it's really lovely to see that community just blossoming. And I'm really delighted and thrilled, because that was my intention for that to happen as well. So yeah, you know, really, it's been just a real joy to, you know, to do that, quite frankly. But I launched that program at the beginning of the year, and for the Link Sales Formula, we've got over 50 members in there now, which is just I mean, you know, that's not bad for, I think that program takes me now probably maybe 5 hours of my time a month, which isn't bad. If you do the math, that's essentially 50 grand in, what are we, we're in August, in 8 months for 5 hours a month. That's not bad. A lot of people would love that.
Absolutely. I remember a time when you would have. So there's I know for a fact that one of my clients I sent to you recently has done this course with you, the 2 hour, 3 hour thing.
3 hours, yeah.
From all accounts, you know, she's just ecstatic, and she's got everything that she wanted from you, and she's still working with you on that. So I can just give you a plug there if I could. Now, on top of that, have you got a slack adjuster, Julie? Have you got, you know, a big payday that, or you're thinking about it, or is that not part of what you do?
What do you mean a big payday? Talk to me about that.
Well,
Sorry.
you know, the Clarksons, you know, they've got when they join me, you know, the Andrew and Daryl Grant, they've got, you know, they run an event on how to create a membership site, but at the end of it, they sell you working with them, creating a membership site, and it's 20-odd thousand, so that's a slack adjuster. Then you've got Paul Blackburn does the same thing these days. He has the Paul Blackburn coaches. All this he's learned through my environment. And again, Matt and Amanda Clarkson, they've got an 18 or 20-odd grand. 18 when they were working with me. I don't know what it is anymore. I still talk to them time to time, but you know, I think it's probably in the 20s now, where they, in fact, they paid me 53 or 51,000 for about 2 to 3 hours of my time a long time ago, where I taught them a particular close, and that close I think they used it in 3 months to do 3.4 mil or something. You know, the bottom line is they can use it over and over again. So that's that slack adjuster for a big ticket item.
Yeah, I do. I've got, you know, a 6-month program, a mentoring program that I take people through, which is 15,000 at the moment.
Nice.
And I'm just about, as we spoke at the beginning of the call, just privately, I'm going to be doing a launch in November, where, you know, I'm hoping that will be, you know, $1 million weekend. So, as I said, I'll be picking your brain on a few things now. I took down some copious notes when we were talking privately. So I'm reframing those two, that one mentoring program into 2, which will be launched in November, and I'm very excited about it. I've been putting a lot of attention into what that will be and how it will work, and so pretty excited about that.
Yeah, look, you know, I can remember someone else who you might recall, and I'm just struggling with her name at the moment, but I remember exactly where I was when she rang me out of the blue one day, and she said, I've just had a $250,000 weekend I never thought I would ever have such a weekend in my life. Now, you and I both
Yeah,
know of people that have done a whole lot more than that, but 250k weekend
yeah,
selling her success to people that wanted it more than she did. And I created, in her case, a $15,000 model, which she then duly promoted and offered. And of
yeah.
course, Judith Wilson falls into that category. She was sort of 15 grand at one stage. I think she's around about the
Mm,
8 or 10 these days. And she also sold her success that people wanted more than she did. So none of this
mm.
should come as a revelation. And in fact, the people should
No,
now be looking at these threads and think, well, hang on a minute, I see what they're all doing. And I'm getting
mm,
a handle now on what it's about.
yeah. And it's not unusual for me at all to take a connection from LinkedIn, coming back and tying this all together with, being a LinkedIn expert as well. Having somebody connect with me on LinkedIn and put them through my sales strategy that I do there, so that we go from connection to having a phone conversation in 3 messages or less, and having them become a mentoring client, spending 15,000 or more with me in a matter of that one phone call, because of the processes that I've learned over the time, and being able to do that's kind of cool.
It's pretty neat,
I mean,
isn't it?
when
I
we spoke,
mean, yeah.
it's pretty cool, absolutely. In fact, when you and I spoke a few weeks back and you asked me to come onto the webinar, and you said, how are your figures at the moment? I'm saying, like, into $26,000 a week, as you know. And I said to you, it went back a few weeks back before that I set my intention that I would do, $10,000 weeks every week, that I would do that consistently. And it was really funny because by the time I got to the 3rd week in, which the first week I think I did 8,500 thereabouts, and then the second week was something like 15,500. The third week was 26,000. The fourth week was 17,000. The fifth week, and so on and so forth. And that's happened consistently every week since I put that intention there. And that's a really important mindset shift that I made, that I was going to set the bar at that point, and then not only do the mind shift, but then hustle and do the actions that it takes to put the money in the bank, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it certainly does.
As Jack Canfield says, you can have the law of attraction all you like, but the word action is built into the word attraction. You can't just think it. You've got to get off your ass and do the work that needs to be done to make it happen as well. You've got to meet it at least halfway, or if not further, for that to happen. And so I'm bringing back intention a couple of times, but oh my God, it's been the most transforming thing for me recently, in terms of when you set your intentions and then you follow through on those intentions, on what you want to achieve, and put the actions behind it. Great things happen. Great things happen. So yeah, I'm definitely pulling up the big girl panties, and
Yeah.
certainly put a stretch goal in front of myself for November, and going, okay, well, let's crack this $1 million weekend. That's my intention.
But the main point is, Julie,
Yeah, now
there's
I've got
no,
to do the hard work behind it.
yes, but there's no unearned success, particularly today. The success you're
No.
having is earned because of all the things you
Yeah.
studied and practiced and implemented. Now, you can set those intentions with a great deal of confidence, knowing you have this filing cabinet, Julie. It's
Yes.
what I call practical reason for the excitement. I see so many
Mm.
people, in fact I saw one recently, and they were all excited about starting their new business, and I was patronising them. And then one day they were told by a client of mine, Bernie Krychek, I don't know whether you remember Bernie, he had an office next door. He
No.
was the real estate guy that I
Oh,
named
yes.
his.
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah,
Yep.
total. I also named his property management business Total Care Property Management, which is a nice name for that.
That's right.
And Bernie said, "Do you know
Yep.
who this guy is?" And because you know me, I'm in shorts and look like I haven't got two bob to my name sometimes to a certain extent. They said, no, no. They said, that's Mel Emery. And they said, oh, we've heard of him. Well, a few weeks later, I'm sitting there having my organic soup, and next thing I know, one of the owners comes out and bursts into tears. The
Wow.
realisation of
Mm.
I'm going to create this business, and it's going to be something I'm passionate about, and the money will flow, and the
Mm.
realisation that it's just a load of BS, um,
Mm.
and how flawed the model is. So today, of course, things have changed.
Mm.
Julie, I couldn't help myself. I helped them out, and it wasn't difficult. And we can't wipe the smile off their faces. I was in there on the
Mm.
weekend and took my wife there for some lunch on Sunday afternoon, because it's all organic and it's gluten-free and it's vegan and all that, but it's great tasting stuff. And
I'll have to test it out when I come over, Mel.
yeah, well, you make sure you do. Give me a call, and
I will,
the smile on
absolutely.
their face today, Julie. But because they
Mm.
didn't have the practical knowledge that you have,
Mm.
and the decisions
Mm.
they made were irrational. So they talk
Mm.
about attraction and all that, and you do too. But the bottom line is, Julie, you have a practical reason that all of this will succeed. You have a practical
Mm.
reason why your event coming up will succeed. I mean, you've already,
Mm.
pumped my brain on the phone, and it doesn't have to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I told you exactly what's been working for me, and it's filled events all over the place. And here's the model I
Yep.
use, and it's all proven. And heck, you're going to execute that. But I just want to make the point that most people's excitement, there was never any reason for it. What we get
Yeah.
excited about is the skills and knowledge and the application of the likelihood of success based on all of that. So if you wound the tape back on you, you'll find that was very logical that you actually have succeeded, given the choices and your behaviour along the way. And I would say,
Mm.
without too much fear of concern, that when you come to roll out your big event, you're going to enjoy probably the biggest payday of your life, and then you're going to chuck that one on your CV. It's not
I'll
ruled
have to send you another bottle of red, won't I?
out. Yes, we all have our Achilles heel, don't we? Uh, Gosh, not to worry, not to worry. I'm pretty harmless. So, okay, now you've created a matrix, haven't you? This whole selling formula, it all links to this, links to that, and sorry to use the analogy, but it's all linked. And
Mm.
it takes them on a slippery slide, as Pete Godfrey would love to say. And
Yep.
they're paying you big money right out of the gate. And most people would have thought, you can't do that in social media. What do you want to say to that comment?
BS,
Yeah.
really. Seriously, you can.
Mm.
There is. It is the only limitation is the one that you put up there yourself.
Yeah.
Anything is possible, truly is. And I look at what some of the people that I'm following are doing in the States and what they're doing on automated webinars and absolutely cracking it
It's amazing.
online and having $650,000 months, and I'm just going, oh my God, that's awesome on an often automated webinar.
Mm.
So is it possible? Absolutely, but you have to put together the process for your business. What is the free offer, as I like to call it, it's the try me before you buy me, so that it adds value, that it gives them a little taste of what's to come, that brings them into your tribe and becoming a passionate member of it. And from there, what's the next step and step after that? Have that elevation model in place, so that you can take people through. And I think, Mal, you might have said years ago that there is at least 5% of your existing list are ready and wanting to spend more money with you, and you failed to ask them.
Yeah, that was a triangle I drew many years ago, the 5% essential
Yeah, yeah,
triangle. Yeah. And if
yeah,
you don't produce the product, well, they never get to spend it. They have
yeah.
this endless need, and 5% will ascend to very big money, as we know. There was something
Yeah.
else I wanted to ask you, but I think I've forgotten it. I think I've taken up enough of your time. It must be time for dinner over there now. I want to thank you for,
It's getting close.
yeah, I do want to thank you for making yourself available, Julie, and I hope the folks have,
Anytime, Mel.
yeah, well, thank you. And I hope
For
that,
you, anytime, my love.
I
You've been
know,
brilliant, and all I can say to the guys listening to this on the call live with us, and those who will listen to it on the recording, this guy knows his stuff, and you just need to apply it. Sometimes, if you're unsure, then I would say, put your hand up, ask the question. Don't sit there spinning your wheels in frustration. The answer's not far from you. Go ask.
well, thank
You'll
you
be amazed
kindly for that.
at how far ahead that it gets you. You're welcome. You're
Now,
welcome. It's always a pleasure, honey.
thank you. And if they want to contact you, Julie, please tell them where they can, or if they can get something about LinkedIn. I'm sure well, most of these folk are business owners, by the way, and they might require
Yeah.
some help with their LinkedIn. Can you tell
Well,
them where they
it
can
would be
get something
silly
from
of
you?
me.
Or?
Absolutely. First of all, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, guys. Just go and search for Julie Mason. I'm located in Brisbane, and you'll find me pop up. I've got LinkedIn Expert and LinkedIn Strategist on my profile, so definitely connect with me. And by the way, tell me that you've listened to this recording or this webinar, so that that I can give you a special shout out. And yeah, if you want to check out the online LinkedIn program, our beautiful community that we've created there, go to www.linked, salesformula, salesformula.com, and it will tell you all about the good stuff that we've got in there that will help you generate leads and sales on LinkedIn. And don't forget, we've got some great support built into that program to really help you get those results. But the program is really easy to follow. It will give you great results. And if you'd like to know more about working one-on-one with me, then definitely shoot me a message at julie@juliemason.com.au.